Axetale is an interesting AU. It is inspired by the famous horror tale AU by Soar Apple Studios. The first Axetale post came in the year 2017, May 23rd, and was created by Banana Strappers and Azulan Doja.
Together there.
The story and draws some amazing art. But one of the major reasons of why you know this AU is because of the major contribution from Mercy Monster, who drew the most realistic depiction of the Undertale cast. She also drew this amazing Axetale comic and also for a long time a lot of Axetale fan art. Axetale tells the story of Frisk staying in the underground after the death of the king and stays there for 13 years. She also married Sans during these 13 years. But in the shadows, Flowey planned his revenge, and one day Flowey killed Toriel and collected all the souls. But because he couldn't control his powers, he accidentally created a glitch which resulted in a virus called the Hunger. This virus made every monster underground schizophrenic, constantly in an angry state, and a constant want for monster flesh. After the hunger broke out, Frisk could flee this nightmare thanks to the help of her husband Sans. But she promised to return with human souls to fix the situation. But she never returned, because the first thing that happened after she left the underground was that she was robbed by a robber. But because she didn't have money, she was instead violated by the robber. Man, that is dark. After being found on the street, hurt and violated, she was brought to a hospital, where she tried to explain to the doctors what happened to her and what her mission is. And that she lived for 13 years underground with monsters and was married to a skeleton. Because of these tellings, she was labeled as insane, and she was brought to an asylum where she was given drugs and harmful medication, which resulted into Frisk really falling into madness. She was only released when the doctor realized she was pregnant, so she was allowed to return home. And because the doctor did such a good job in treating her, she immediately died after giving birth to her baby daughter, Aliza. But now comes the question, who is Aliza and who is her father? Aliza's life was a tragic one, conceived as a result of a violation and killed her mother when she came out of her womb, made her hated by her grandmother, who slowly loses her mind due to her amnesia. But she always stated to Aliza how different she is from her mother. It is nothing but a mistake and worth as much as a maggot, before she would beat Aliza up with a walking stick. And the same was so with the residents of the city. Aliza was always seen as a mistake, a ticking time bomb, and an oddity. Her only friend was a familiar, a red butterfly called Ruby, with unknown origin. But it didn't help, because she also got magical power, which she couldn't control. So she once burned her hair, froze the bathtub, and worst of all, accidentally killing a robber by burning him so hard that his flesh melted away, which resulted Aliza's month-long isolation in her room because of her trauma. But she overcame her trauma because she had a mission of fulfilling her mother's last will. Once Aliza found out she could use magic, she even felt more like an oddity and a freak. But as she found her mother's diary, or rather collection of mad letters, she learned about the underground, the monster life, and magic. And all of this made Aliza not feel like a single case, because she found out that even her mother could use magic. Because during Frisk's time in an asylum, some odd things happened, like things froze, objects moved on its own, and some things were burned. So, motivated into knowing more about her mother, she started reading the journal, which was hard to do due to the fact that Frisk wrote it when she was sane and insane. But even in Frisk's insane state, she always wrote about Sans, the keeper of justice. Frisk also wrote about the hunger and how to possibly free everyone by doing a magic spell that allows you to get from people who are about to die their soul. So Aliza decides to fulfill the last wish of her mother by collecting souls and freeing everyone from the underground.
After Aliza read the diary, she started collecting souls. But how did she do it? Well, she visited hospitals and retirement home where people were about to die, and Aliza would use magic to collect their souls right before they die. But to her dismay, she was caught most of the time, which didn't help her reputation. She would then get beat up by her grandmother, who at the time was suffering from Alzheimer's. Her grandmother would also say how different Aliza is from her mother. But this isn't her fault, because she is the product of a violation. Injured by this statement, she left the house and go to the monument to start her journey of proving everyone she isn't her father, but her mother child, and not a mistake.
Aliza was on her way to the mountain, but as she was about to climb down, she trips and falls down the mountain. Not a great start, I must say. It did help that when she finally hit the ground, her arm was completely broken and a bone showed up, which caused her to poop, which this got the attention of a certain someone, a demon child called Kara, who immediately tries to make a deal by showing Aliza what happened underground, where monsters eat each other and kill everyone they meet. Kara says that these monsters can't be saved after what Flowey did, and that killing them would be a sign of mercy. Aliza said to Kara, Fuck you, I will save everyone without killing them. Even when I am way too late, there still is some hope.
Today, I want to cover the newest Axetale comic, which tells the story of Sans finding out the truth. The story begins with Aliza going to Waterfall to fulfill her mother's final wish by going to the castle to break the barrier. But she gets stopped by Sans, who stated that the underground isn't as safe as it was when Frisk was around. So she gave Aliza two options. Option number one would be to go home and forget that she left the house. And option number two, Sans would cut Aliza's legs off to assure that she would never leave his house. But Aliza didn't care about that because she couldn't live with Sans anymore. Because Sans always made passive-aggressive comments about Aliza and what she was. Angered by the statement, Sans really tried to cut Aliza's leg off. But he was stopped by an attack from Aliza's familiar, Ruby. But this butterfly was quickly killed off by Sans. Angered by this, Aliza used her most powerful magic attack, which made Sans curious. So he checked out Aliza's soul and found out that Aliza wasn't the result of a violation, but was in fact his daughter.